Well, Harley has had a rough couple of months with the controversy over DEI and the announcement of certain models being moved to Thailand to be produced in 2025. Is it time for the current CEO to stay or go? Let's talk about it, and I'll give you some background on the CEO. So hang out and let's talk about, should he stay or should he go? Hello and welcome to Road Rush Nation. I'm Terry, your host here, and thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the channel. If you're a member of the nation, thank you so much. We recently hit 5,000 subscribers, and that just means so much. If you would like to be a member of the nation, it's free. All you need to do is hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. All right, big topic. The current CEO, Zeitz, we'll just use his last name. Should he stay or should he go? The last couple of months have been pretty bad for Harley. They've been getting punched and socked. It started all with a campaign regarding the DEI policies that were brought on by the CEO. And I'm not a fan of DEI, but that's more of an employee issue than a consumer issue. But when you say DEI, and you get an activist that says get rid of it, who had nothing to do with Harley, by the way, it started an awful campaign towards Harley. Now, the thing is Harley and the CEO needs to understand better, us the consumers. We don't get into all that stuff, and Backlash, pretty damn bad. Now, Harley did come out with an announcement saying that we gave up the DEI policy back in April 2024. Now, I read that, and I'll put it up here for you to look at. But if you notice, it's got this whole statement, but the one thing that stood out to me is at the very bottom of that letter. And if you notice, it's not signed by anyone. Yeah, we're not doing this. It's not by the CEO. It's not by anything. It just says, United we ride. I was kind of put off by that, only because to me, it shows that nobody at Harley with authority, a board of directors, the CEO said, hey, by the way, this is what's going on. We hear you. This is what it looks just like a PR marketing statement, not really heartfelt. So that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I will say that's just my observation on certain things when I look at companies and how they react to controversy. So that was bad. But then comes the announcement no more than a month later saying, oh, by the way, we're shutting down one of our plants in Milwaukee. We're moving it, or just outside Milwaukee, and we're moving that production to Thailand for 2025. Okay, it's not all bikes, so don't get that twisted. It's the Power Max bikes, so you've got just a few models that are being affected by it. That really doesn't matter, in my opinion. But don't tell me you're going to Thailand just for 1 year. That doesn't make much sense. You don't spend the money to go to a foreign country to manufacture something. The cost, shipping and all that, it just sounds a little suspicious. Let's just put it that way. So that was another big thing. You start taking jobs out of America and you send them to Thailand. Yeah, not good. Harley started having some problems in 2007 on, and 2008 we had the economy, the big crash of the economy, and then things just kind of changed in the motorcycle world, and unfortunately the leadership at Harley wasn't doing so great. So in 2015, Matt, and I will mess up his name, and I'm looking at it over here, so Levachtich, anyway, he had been with Harley for eons, and he was put in as a CEO, and unfortunately I think he was in a little over his head. Yes, let's do the reorg, let's try to figure this out, but things went in the toilet. And this was before COVID. Harley was just, I think they didn't anticipate competition. They weren't being innovative. They weren't looking at the future. It was, and I just think he got in over his head. Not everybody's cut out to be a CEO. It's a bigger deal when you're at that level. And if you're not making the numbers, stockholders are like, you got to go. So in 5 years, it plummeted. Their sales were down to the lowest levels when he left. And since 2010, they hadn't been that low. So it was bad. He did need to go. So then what happened is Harley's like, we got to do something quick. They were in a very bad financial. You can have all the money coming in, but if you're not being smart with that money and those financials, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you can be into a serious problem. And Harley was in that situation. So they had to look somewhere else to say, we need somebody who can help dig us out of this hole. So let's get into Zeitz. And let me give you a little background on him. He has been with Harley since 2007. He's been part of the board of directors. So many boards will have advisors, members of your directors that come from various industries, because if you bring in people with various experiences, sometimes you can make something that happened at a paint company work for something that works at a motorcycle company or an automotive. So it brings a variety of knowledge and experiences to help you navigate through business hurdles. Now, when you're on a board of directors, you're not in the weeds. You're not on where the rubber meets the road for that company. You're sitting at a 30,000-foot level and doing an observation. So they don't really see the day-to-day operations. They just see the numbers and do advising. So he's, like I said, he was on that since 2007, and then they had an advisory board that in 2011 he started being a member of. Now, Zeitz had been working for Puma, and that company was on the brink of disaster. German company, totally isolated itself to Germany, just really focused on that. And when he took it over, he said, let's look more broad. Now, Puma's a shoe company, remember. But he looked more broad and brought it back to being very competitive, made it profitable, and made it more of a success. So, of course, Harley's looking at him, well, you've been on the board of directors, you understand Harley, let's put you in there. Then COVID hit. Which was bad for any manufacturer, for any company, big, small, or otherwise. It was a disaster that companies didn't know how to deal with. We didn't know how long we'd be shut down. And companies wanted to keep their employees, so then you have to use your available cash, which a lot of people don't realize. If you got available cash going out, but nothing coming in, that really impacts a company. Huge. The numbers and target numbers that need to be reached and were set for the company, Zeitz has made that the last 4 years. Now, some of those were COVID years, and of course the numbers weren't real high, but he had to look at where can we save money, where can we generate revenue, where can we look at. So one of the first things he did, was to look at, hey, we got to reorg, we need to be efficient, we need to evaluate what we're doing. Got it. Smart business. That's usually what always happens when you have a new CEO comes in. You have these mass reorgs, which causes turmoils for the employees because they don't know which way they're going. I've gone through this, and within the past few years. And my company was, I won't say a victim of COVID, but impacted and got bought out. So I've gone through this whole thing. Anyway, and if you remember a couple years ago, we had a mass closing of a lot of the dealerships. Well, those were because a lot of those dealerships were not selling bikes, not selling the new bikes. And so they weren't meeting the obligation of being profitable for Harley. So they had to cut them. I get it. I know a couple of those dealerships, and yeah, they became more t-shirt shops. They were selling new bikes. They were just kind of stopover places. I get it. We kind of loved, as far as being a consumer, we loved those little shops or dealerships that we would stop at. But if you look at a lot of them, they weren't. Then he looked at also, hey, let's bring in bigger money. Mom and pop dealerships, to sell those off and give like corporations, partnerships, that's the word I was looking for, partnerships to buy those was a better way to go because it's going to bring in more money. At least that's his thought process. But for us, it really doesn't bring us the Harley atmosphere, the Harley family. At least that's how I feel about it. That's why you've got Black Hills. Harley Davidson is no longer a family-owned company or dealership. It's an automotive group. Went by one that was in Pennsylvania, Scranton, Pennsylvania area. That was the same. It's very cold. It's very, and now they're trying. And now they're trying to make all the dealerships have the same look and feel. So it's every time you go in, it's the same thing. And I kind of find that boring. I'd rather go and experience the nuances of each dealership because it's a reflection of that community. Anyway, so that was another thing he did. Good, bad, or indifferent, but you got to look at money. Harley is a corporation, got to have money. Got it. So he has hit the numbers for the last 4 years, which was not happening with the prior CEO, which is a good thing, but the numbers weren't made astronomical to reach those goals because we were coming out of COVID. Now there's been some good things that he's introduced for employees, like, they give them what they call restricted stock units, RSUs. So now employees can get stock in Harley. Now, the reason this is good and bad is that RSUs are a way to give employees a bonus, so to speak, without having to spend the cash. It's easier to give stocks than it is to give cash out. Those RSUs, they can't cash them in right away. You usually have a stipulation. You got to wait for a couple years and a certain amount of them will mature. But it's a great way to give employees kind of an added extra bonus, so to speak, without having to deal out your cash. Your highest expense you have in a company is employees. That's your highest overall cost. It's not the buildings, it's not all the other stuff, it's your employee costs. So it's a nice way of being able to do that. I think that was a good thing. Zeitz is looking at different markets. America, he's kind of looking at, that's one piece of the pie. We're taking Harley to be a global company, more like what Honda is, I would say. We'll probably have assembly plants here, but I think the days of being the all-American motorcycle company is gone. And that's pretty much how it is with any manufacturer. Even for you guys that are lovers of Indian, Polaris uses foreign products. Also, Polaris is not just an American company. They do have a manufacturing plant down in Mexico. Yes, it does the four-wheel drive Polaris, so they're not just an American company. And oh, by the way, Polaris went woke in 2019. They just hide their DEI program under a different name. So if you're jumping ship from here to there, just be aware of what you're trading, if you're trading one evil for the other, so to speak, if that's your thing. So those are kind of some of the things. Now, what these changes and layoffs, which happen when you reorg, and the DEI and the manufacturing facility, you might make the numbers, but you're killing the brand, in my opinion. You're killing the reputation of Harley. And here's what I have discovered. I ask constantly my Harley dealerships when I go in, and I'll ask them, hey, how are sales and everything? Oh, they're down. And they're down because, DEI. But here's something, you guys, which really makes me mad, is people are calling up and leaving awful messages, recorded messages after hours that the poor receptionists are picking up and listen to you cuss them out. They have nothing to do with what's going on at world headquarters. Call them. Don't call your local dealership and cuss them out. They have nothing to do with it. In fact, the dealerships are pretty pissed off of what's all happened. And they're all like, we're not woke. That's the CEO. That's not us. That's manufactured. Don't take it out on your local dealership. That's your local neighbors. Those are your friends. Don't calm down on that. Call Harley. Call the mothership. Tell them how mad you are. But don't do it to your local dealership. Okay, that's my public service announcement. But talking to some of the dealerships and talking to some of the salesmen, yeah, things are down. A lot of things are going into factor. Yes, the DEI, the whole moving to Thailand has impacted, but also our economy's in the crapper. Contrary to what the news is telling you, look at your paycheck, look at what you're spending, look at the interest rates that are happening on loans. That's going to hurt too. The other thing too is because of all this controversy, Indian is the benefiter of this. Talk to a dealership that has Harley and has an Indian dealership, and the Indian sales are up 23%. So they have benefited completely by this. Do I blame people saying, I don't want my Harley anymore? That's their personal decision. I've already spent my money. I already have my bike. I love my bike. Why would I sell it to go in debt for another bike from another manufacturer just because I didn't like something that the main office did? I'm going to tell the main office, but I'm not going to sell my bike, which is fine. And I'm going to tell you, take a look in your driveway. I guarantee you, whatever you're driving as far as your cage goes, your four-wheel vehicle, it's probably got a DEI policy in there someplace too, and it's probably not all American made. No such animal. Anyway, do I think he needs to go? So let's get to the real question, and I want to hear your opinion in the comments. So stay or go? Personally, I think it's time for him to go, and not because he can't meet the numbers, but he's killing the brand, because he's made us mad, and he's disappointed us. And once we're disappointed, it's hard to get us back. I look at this as happening to the AMF days, where everybody goes, no, you don't want a Harley, for whatever reason. I see this cycle happening again. I think they need to get rid of him. I don't think he's helping out the brand. He may be good at dollars, but you can't do much with dollars when you've just killed off your consumers and haven't listened to what they're saying. That's my opinion on that. And you need to be more honest with us, especially sending out like a letter with nobody's name attached to it and it just says, United We Ride. Yeah, no, United We Ride. I don't think we feel united anymore with the home office. That's just my opinion. Anyway, like I said, I want to hear your thoughts. Stay or go? Thanks again so much for stopping by. Appreciate it. If you'd like to be a member of the nation, don't forget, it's free. All you need to do is hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell. Ride safe, and I hope to catch you on the highways.